And we're back for another edition or episode, if you will, of Saving America, Small Business Warfare. And today we have Egard Watches with Ilan Swilovich. I've got that correct, right?
You did. You got it.
Fucking nail it first time. You've been on the show several times, on the normal show, on the martial arts channel, and very recently I discovered you have a fantastic passion for some very gorgeous timepieces. And I'm looking at your website and everything else you do, and I'm like, I want to have a discussion about this. Let's have a conversation about your business, your company. Everything that we do here on the Saving America Small Business episode is talking about people's passions. So first things first, let's get the 360-degree view of who you are, because I firmly believe that a brand is great, but and a product is great, but I think that the person behind it is the most important, because that's where the passion is poured into it. So we need to find out who you are for the new people who are discovering you, and let's talk about the passion behind your timepiece brand.
Sure. I mean, a lot of similar passions that you have. Martial arts, that's a big part of my life. Filipino martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, been doing it since I'm a little kid. And it's helped me through a lot of stuff. And have a background in acting. I've been on a bunch of TV shows. I was a recurring character on The Walking Dead. I was on a Netflix original series as one of the main people on that first season. NCIS, just a bunch of random stuff. The Big Short, Deepwater Horizon. Recently got into directing more, especially documentaries. So doing a documentary about the decay of America, I guess. It's got a religious component to it. In other words, like, we step away from religion so far into moral relativism. What are the effects of that, and cancel culture? And got people like Jordan Peterson and a lot of interesting people there, and did some crazy social experiments. And then, the watch brand is a huge part of my life too. So that's another thing.
How'd you get started? Let's talk about that. That's just a complete left turn, right? It's like you're doing all your pro-capitalism, it seems. You're extremely intelligent. We've had conversations about massive social and global issues. Martial arts is a huge passion of yours, but not just watches. And I'm going to pull it up for people to see. These are timepieces. These are gorgeous pieces of we have men's and women's masculine jewelry that people wear, and they're showing it off. Talk about where did this passion begin with watches and timepieces?
Yeah, it's a bit of a random story. My dad helped me through some things when I was younger. I was a rough kid. He kind of just was always there, a really great positive example for me, even when we had our rough patches with each other. Then years later, I got sick. I had to deal with some chronic health issues. My dad dropped everything to come help take care of me. I honestly probably would not be here today if it wasn't for him. Then a while back, we're talking about 12 years now, he was turning 65. And I wanted something to really honor him, give him tribute for everything he's done for me. And I started looking for a watch to buy, thinking like, oh, he could wear this watch, and one day it'll get passed down to me, and then to my kid one day. And I thought that would be a really beautiful kind of concept. But I couldn't find anything that really resonated. And I had a big background in design. Everything I liked was super expensive. And I'm like, you know what? I could design a very unique artistic timepiece for significantly less than all these pieces out there. I'm sorry for the background noise if it's really loud right now.
No, it's not. You sound great.
And so what I did is I designed a piece. I was working in a studio doing something called previs. I had a background in, like I said, design, and I prevised out a piece. Put it on forums, got feedback, and then ended up ordering the parts, and people started asking to buy it. And that's how the company came about, kind of organically.
When people, we're in probably the biggest entrepreneurial stage of America's history ever. Everybody has an opportunity to be an entrepreneur. Social media makes it easier, and this and that. Talk about some of the challenges. Like you're in a high end industry, right? It's not like you're making a t-shirt brand and competing with everybody else. I have friends who were watch salesmen for Bulgari. Was that it? I can't remember if that was the name of the brand. But
what's the name? One more time.
It was BV Bulgari. I can't pronounce it. It's a higher end watch brand. And for those who don't know, you have Movado that was out there, right? When we think about these things, we think about very high end a business. And so for when you first sent this to me, I was like, this is not Yeah, I'm just going to get into making my own coffee today. Or
Yeah, it's
this
not
is
that
a
simple,
big
for
deal.
sure.
So you swung for the fences on this. Was this just like for you? For me, this would be intimidating. How was this for you to start this line?
Yeah, I'm an all-in kind of guy. I'm impulsive. Perfect. So, watch was it was important for me to go into watches. I wasn't really worried initially about how difficult it would be. I was kind of motivated by the fact that there were certain qualities about a watch that really represented everything I wanted to do for my father. Number one, they capture time, they represent time. So it's something that in many ways represented the fact, and I have a video on this, that I felt that my dad was getting older. How much more time do I have with him? And here's something that actually measures time, that reminds us of the people we love. And another thing about watches is they're always on your wrist. You could buy someone a nice car, they're going to get out of the car. But if you buy someone a nice watch, they're going to definitely, man, he's right. Sorry. Give me 1 second here, brother. He's right by the door now.
Can't hear it. Whatever your mic is, and don't worry, I'll edit this part out. But whatever your mic is doing, it's picking up just you.
All right. So another thing about watches is that they're always on your wrist. Whenever you go into a place, whenever you leave a place, when you go to bed at night, you can keep it on or you can take it off, but it's right there by your nightstand. So there's something really beautiful about that. There's something about the fact that it's with you all the time. It almost feels like it captures a part of you, your soul. And so it was important for me to make it about watches, to make him a watch. And then again, you can pass watches down to people you love. So it was definitely challenging. I didn't realize how hard the watch industry was, not only competitively, but just from a manufacturing standpoint. But, if you're passionate about something, you got to jump all in. It's the only way to make it work. And there's an interesting dynamic that happens. There's a scale of things on no matter what you do. If something is easy to do, you'll have more people doing it and there'll be higher competition. If something is harder to do, there'll be less people doing it and there'll be less competition. So there's benefits to both ends of the spectrum, in my opinion.
Talk about some of the challenges of being an entrepreneur, especially in a niche field like this. Was there certain skill sets that you had that you brought that were superior? Like, man, I am better than most people at this. Or were there things you had to learn along the way that gave you a new appreciation for being an entrepreneur that actually could have helped in any other skill set you had?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of challenges. I think like one of the main challenges that people have, which is something I got rid of very early, is overthinking things. If you don't act, you'll never succeed. I've just always been the type of person who's willing to fail to do the thing I wanted, and that worked heavily in my favor. I do think that some of the things I came across is the fact that that also works against me. I'm impulsive. That was a challenge where I like to see immediate results. It's very hard to work in something day in, day out, put in your own money, not see results. You don't have a steady paycheck coming in and still finding a way to sustain yourself, working other jobs, doing whatever you have to do. That's people don't see that end of things. They don't see that consistency is everything. So people used to ask me, how did you get so many celebrities to wear your watches? I'm like, they're like, I can't believe you got William Shatner. I can't believe you did a watch with George St. Pierre. I can't believe you did this. We had all these people who used to wear our watches who no longer do because of the controversy behind my advertising. But I got them just by emailing, calling, just being relentless. And so that is a challenge. Being consistent every day is a major, major challenge. And also not being down when things don't go as expected. So expectation is obviously a killer. It's good to have, hope and have goals and have all these things. But if reality doesn't meet your expectation, what a lot of people do is they end up just becoming depressed or not pushing anymore and going, well, it didn't go the way I wanted, so I'm not going to keep pushing. I'm like, no, it's at the time where it's at its lowest, where you feel like there's no benefit to it, which was many times starting out. There was many times I had no idea this would be a successful company. I couldn't have imagined it. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to take a huge loss. I'm just going to cut my losses. I'm just going to end it. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to stick with this. I'm passionate about it. I'm doing it for my dad. And that helped me kind of keep going, and it's paid off.
You designed the all your watches, correct?
Design all the watches. Also, all those ads, those are me. All my doing. So I design. I am heavily involved in the manufacturing end of things, and yeah, there they are. I try and make them like art pieces for your wrist. So I don't want to make generic watches, although I do have some very, very cool divers coming out. I'm actually wearing one right now, which is a little bit more of a classic case. But I try and do things you just won't find anywhere else.
Let's talk about some, direct me to some of your favorite pieces and tell me some history about them.
So, okay, so the Qantas in general, that case style is one of my favorite pieces, just from a technical standpoint. So the story behind this one is I wanted to do something case-wise that was completely different than anything on the market, but still look classy, still could be identifying for the brand. And so this case shape, kind of oblong case shape or alien head case shape, has a curved sapphire crystal. It's really hard to see it, but the case is not flat. The crystal is actually asymmetrical and curves down and inward. It's incredibly difficult to make. So that was a major achievement for us to make that crystal. It's something we're really, really happy about. Then if you go down, this is very, very cool. There's two here I really, really like, and these are my other two favorites I'm going to talk about. The Phase 2 Tourbillon, it's assembled in America. This is a 75-hour power reserve tourbillon that's skeletonized. It's just, again, it's a really, really cool achievement. And then for me, there was always something about engraved watches, which I found super, super cool. Really hard to find them, really hard to come across them. And then I had the Bermuda skeleton here, which is a engraved watch. We had to come up with our own engraving method using both special lasers and also hand engraving to kind of combine the two to get this result. But it's just something that you don't find anywhere else at this quality from anywhere near that price point. So those are the stories behind in terms of the three most technical achievements. The first design I ever made is the Shade, which we have here unless it's sold out and it's been taken down. We might have sold out. And there it is, Shade V2. So the Shade is the original design I made, and the V2 is a recreation of that. And we're coming to the end of that line.
That's a beautiful watch. That's the one that stands out the most to me because it balances with the Roman numerals, a classic look, and then it's got a very modern feel to it as well, too.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, trying to have like an architectural feel while still being classy. So, yeah, that one's design-wise the most important. That's the first design I ever made.
Yeah, wow. Yeah,
Patriots also represents, each watch has its own story. That's the crazy thing. So like the Patriot, for me, was really important to use the company to do good. And, you know, we donated to the Bob Woodruff Foundation. We donate to first responder charities. And this was a watch that I made that I thought looked very, very cool, but could also raise some money for different charities for first responders and veterans. That's what that watch represents.
Good. And because we're not sexist down here, you have a women's line too as well. Take a look at that.
Yeah, not as many. And I'll tell you, this is interesting. I'm not because I do all the design. I design watches I want to wear. That's pretty much the motivation here. The motivation is just to make watches that I love wearing, and I come from it from a very passionate design standpoint. My dad's also still involved. I show him every design, and he tells me if he likes it or doesn't like it. And so women's watches are harder for me to design. A lot of the time, they're just based off the men's designs, to be honest with you. So there's less women watches because I'm just always designing for men.
They're still elegant. I'm not shocked this one is sold out. This is simple and it's elegant. Yeah.
It's really nice, actually. It's got an Aventurine dial. If you click on the Eve Rose or either one of them.
Which one?
The one you like, the Eve Knight or Eve Rose. So to the right. Or even this one also has an Aventurine dial. This dial actually looks like you're staring at the night sky in person. It has a very special effect. It's a stone. It's called Aventurine.
Oh, wow.
It's really beautiful, yeah. I don't know if we have a video of it or if you scroll down, but it's a very, very unique. Oh, this is a review someone did, so we could just, but it'll still show if you fast forward.
Yeah, well, take a look at this if you're watching. Where should I go to about?
Right there. Yeah, he'll be showing the effect of the Aventurine. Right? You see that?
In a nice box. We'll throw
wow.
a picture of that so you can check it out.
And it sparkles. It's a really, really interesting dial.
And what was the inspiration behind this?
So you'll see this kind of connection again in a lot of stuff. Even the William Shatner watch. I have like a huge fascination with the universe, kind of existential thoughts and all that stuff. And so this kind of is a really beautiful way to represent looking up into the sky and just kind of that endlessness, that eternal feeling you get staring up into the night sky and the universe.
That's outstanding. Holy crap. Where do you get your inspirations from? Where do they pop from aside from that? I mean, you just sitting one day and all of a sudden you got to go, boom, I have an idea for a watch or.
Yeah, it's like a compulsion. I'm just sitting there and then out of nowhere, I'll just get like super compulsive about designing something and I won't stop until it's done. And then I have to make it.
Does that happen anywhere else? Because that's where my teachings come from. That's where my rants come from. I do no prep on anything. It just all comes out of this need, this incessant compulsive need to express what I'm feeling. And there it goes. And you pour that into your watches. That's art. That's art. That's awesome. Holy shit.
Thanks, man.
Good. All right. So like when I have somebody on who has a certain caliber of entrepreneurship, I want them also to kind of impart wisdom, right? Because that's the point of this. We want to save America with small businesses. You get a lot of people who are afraid. And their life goes by, they don't put their passions out. And you got a lot of people who are sitting on some great ideas. If you had the ability to, give a class or say, hey, listen, this is what you need to do for entrepreneurship, what advice would you impart on people?
There's so much, but one of the main things I would say is don't step away from the authenticity of, you were talking about earlier, who you are, what the brand represents. We've never done that. It's actually worked in our favor. Sure, you have consequence when you get controversial, but I don't see it as controversial. I see it as being truthful. So I think it's very important for brands to be, if you're trying to start a brand or any type of business, to be authentic. Don't try to appease everyone. Just be true to who you are and what you want to put out there. Again, a major part of everything is consistency. I think there was a study done and they said one of the main things that millionaires all had in common, the top ranking millionaires, was not intelligence, was not work ethic, was being impulsive, as odd as that sounds. So if you combine impulsiveness, being willing to take the opportunity, again, everyone I know who's not doing what they wanted to do in life right now is because they keep talking about what they want to do and don't actually go do it. So if you have an idea, find a way to act on it. If you wait, your possibility of success is zero. If you do something today, you'll still have an opportunity to do something tomorrow, the next day, and that's where the consistency comes in. So those two things combined, being willing to act and then being consistent on that action, is probably the best combination for success that someone can have. And again, like I said, I've made a ton of money. I've lost a lot of money and then I've made the money back. I'm always just trying. I'm always trying to be passionate and keep doing what I do. And I don't let those things deter me from doing the next thing. So I think that's a really, really, really important part. And again, that's something I see in every single person I know who's not now doing the thing they want, is just that they kept saying, oh, well, when this is perfect, I'll do it. When that's perfect, I'll do it. And then it never happens. Do
you think that having, because I know that you're a little bit more behind the scenes with the watches, then do you think that if more people knew about everything from the impulsiveness or the passion behind it or the free-flowing creation to your dad's involvement, that they would feel a deeper bond with the brand? Is that ever something you've considered? And is that the final step to maybe pouring into the brand to make it complete?
So we do. I have a video on the website, on the homepage, called Legacy. That's the brand story. And it really covers the story of, in a much more emotional way, kind of the idea of aging and what the brand means to me and the connection with my father. And I'll say it now. When I was a kid, I remember looking at my dad when I was 10 years old, and I was crying at night, and he came into the room. He said, why are you crying? I'm like, because I know you're going to die one day. And I was like a 10-year-old. And he's like, you're a very smart kid for thinking about these things now, but you got plenty of time. Don't worry about it. But as anything, time passes. Yeah. The inevitable comes. And so that was when I was looking at my dad when he was 65. I'm like, man, all this time has passed. I'm still having those same thoughts that I had when I was a kid. I just don't want to lose my dad. And so I need to create some kind of eternal message here for my dad, something that lives on beyond him, lives on beyond me. And so that is a major part of the brand. And maybe I should be more vocal with it. I'm
going to tell you why. You just resonate with me on that. My father's been in my life forever. I've never appreciated him. I've been very public about my story with him. And I didn't get to know him until I started smoking cigars. So because cigars will sit you down and force you for an hour to be, next to somebody else. So now cigars have a very special place in my heart because they are the bridge that my father is the most valuable person in the world to me, and that started at 39. And I pray every day, give me at least another 20 years with him. So what you just said now, you tapped into the conveyance of emotion, right? And I think that's one of the most powerful things in sales and marketing and advertising, especially when it's done right. Most people, you're going to be slimy and be like, hey, yeah, oh, you need a watch. You're going to impress some girls. And you're going to look great when you walk in a room. When you convey the value of your father in that watch, you're going to get, I don't know how many people that's going to resonate with. And now we're going to associate that brand, your brand, with that emotion that we share with you. You don't need to convey the emotion. You don't need to pass it on. You just reminded us of it. Like, holy shit. Now this is the value of that watch. I think it's an extremely powerful message and a representation behind the brand there. I think that's massive. Absolutely massive.
Yeah, maybe I should put that. We do try and use that video that I made a lot. I'd love for you to see it. I'd love to see what you think, but I should be more vocal about that, because I do talk about all those other issues that are going on, but I don't come out and talk to the camera about that as much one-on-one.
That's powerful. That's the most, because when you think about it, if we talk about social issues, I don't care what's happening here. I don't care it's a hit or miss about whether or not the social issue is important to me. When you talk about father, yeah, that's far closer to home for me. How many people lost their father? How many people don't want to lose him? How many people had a relationship they didn't want? How many people can see, perhaps, and I'm stretching, but my God, reconciliation through purchasing a watch as a gift for their father because it meant something to them? I think it's a phenomenal. This is the branding that I love when it comes down to small businesses, is finding out the root of the passion to be able to put it behind the product and then sit there and just knock it out of the park. This is Egard. Is it pronounced Egard or Egard?
Egard, yeah.
Egard Watches. EgardWatches.com is the site, and I would strongly suggest going there, taking a look. These timepieces are utterly beautiful. It's very ironic how the first one that you produced was the immediate one that caught my eye. I was like, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous watch. And that's it. Appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on, telling all us about your small business. And yeah, love to have you. And we heard nothing. So guys, that's it. Make sure you go check out EgardWatches.com. Support small American businesses. We're at war here, and small American businesses are going to save the country. If you have a passion, if you have a product, if you have a service, and you want to share that with the world, absolutely get a hold of us. You can call or text 708-982-0974 or text or email rantsofizzo@gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to feature you on an episode of this. You guys have a great damn day. I should... the outro. We don't need the outro. You guys have a great damn day. Go out there, do something great for somebody, help them. And if you can't help them today, just don't hurt them. See you guys in the next episode.
I'm 10 years old. I'm laying in bed. And then suddenly I'm hit with the realization. One day you're gonna die. And I'm overwhelmed with emotion. I start crying. My dad, he comes running in the room to check on me. I tell him what's going on and he consoles me. Fast forward 20 years. I'm looking at these pictures of my dad because his 66th birthday is coming up. And I see how much he's changed. And then bam, just like that, I'm hit with the same feeling. I'm that 10-year-old kid again. Except this time the feeling's not for me. It's for him. See, I don't think it matters if you're a 10-year-old kid or a 70-year-old man. Time connects all of us. That's the moment I realized I want to do something special for him. A tribute. I've always been obsessed with the idea of time. That's why an instrument whose sole purpose is to measure it is so fascinating to me. You know, our cell phones, they can do everything. They last a few years. Watch. Now, watch does one thing, but it can last 100 years. You know how I know? I still have the watch my grandfather gave me from when he was a kid. I remember giving my dad the watch I made for him. I remember how happy he was, how special that moment was for both of us. That's the kind of thing I want to pass on to everyone. That's the motivation behind Egard. I've been fortunate enough to work with some of my childhood heroes, and I think I can credit that to our unique designs. I'm constantly testing boundaries through rapid prototyping, uniquely shaped sapphire crystals, engraved cases. It's that uniqueness that's laid the foundation for Egard to become the company it is today. I think people's obsession with legacy is rooted in the idea of beating time. Close your eyes. Fast forward. You see your grandson. He's running toward you, smiling. Give him a hug. Now look down at his wrist. He's wearing the watch you gave him. That's a legacy.